All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Hustle Podcast. We're in episode 16. My name is John. I'm your host, and we got my co-host,
Gabriel Arambula.
Yes, sir. And if you guys are new here, what we talk about on this podcast is everything mindset, business, and how we can add value to you guys and how we can share our mistakes and what you could avoid when you're in your entrepreneurship or business journey, right? And the way we run this podcast is very unscripted. We typically come up with the topics day of or even 5 minutes prior.
Or we just start
Yeah.
with no topic and just start talking about what's on our mind.
Yeah, that's right. Or we just start like what Gabe said. So for today's topic is something that I've lived in my life recently, not too long ago, right? It's about taking full responsibility for your life and how just a simple doing of taking a full responsibility can drastically improve your life. So whenever you have issues, just take the full responsibility. Like ask yourself, okay, where am I not taking responsibility in this area and how can I improve in that? Right? I guess for you, Gabe, like what are your thoughts when you think about the phrase taking full responsibility for yourself or for your life?
I mean, that's going to mean something different to everyone because everyone's life is different. Like for me, I'm responsible not only for myself, but 6 other human beings. And so taking full responsibility of my life, it impacts the people that are relying on me, right? My kids, and so it's heavy. It's really weighty for me. I mean, it's the stuff that keeps me up at night, wakes me up early in the morning. It's what keeps me grinding until like I just phase out, swinging the bat until I hit it out of the park, and then swinging the bat again until I hit it out of the park, because you're only as good as your last home run, and we got to keep going, and I'm fully responsible for it. No one can do it for me. I've been around the block long enough to know that you'll get a fair share of hand ups. You'll get a fair share of layups, but even in every hand up, every layup, you have to take responsibility for the required action.
Right.
It doesn't just happen. And what I see take place and what is common in society today, and I'm sure you can concur, is that most people, if things don't work out the way they want, they typically have someone else to blame for it. Now, it's not everybody,
That's right.
but it is a common mentality of pointing fingers, right? And that mentality leads to a whole slew of toxic behaviors, thought patterns, attitudes, and that is all derived from individuals taking a lack of responsibility. And I'll use the most common basic example. The government should take care of me, right? The government should take care of us. But again, listen, that those measures are put in place for those that are in need for those times, right? And so I'm not downing that, but if you are of the mindset or the mentality where you believe that you should be able to rely on the government your whole entire life for all your needs,
it's the entitlement,
wants, and desires, you're not taking full responsibility. And I see in society with kids, it starts at a young age, not taking full responsibility for actions. And I'm grateful that the schools that my kids go to in Huntington Beach, the school districts are very good, and like they hold kids accountable and they involve the parents. If anything happens, they let us know. As simple as there's some funny. I'll tell you a quick story. one time I get a call from, I think it was a vice principal of my kid's middle school. And they say, "Hey, Mr. Arambula, this is not an emergency, but I just want to let you know, I don't know if we should be concerned, but we heard that your son was on the playground waving around $100 bill, showing off $100 bill to people on the playground." And instantly I'm like, this little booger got into some of my cash and took one of my Ben Frankies, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I thank the teacher, but the point is, they, even on the slightest thing, they alerted me, right? Because as the school, as that vice principal, she's taking full responsibility. She doesn't know if my kid's out there what they're doing. How's he got $100? What is he? Is he stealing? Is he like doing something bad? Like, so they alerted me, and that's good, and that's an example of taking full responsibility. And when I confronted my son, he took full responsibility as well of his actions, right? And but what I see though that is common is amongst kids, especially in those age range and older, they don't want to take full responsibility. They're very they're disrespectful. They have no accountability for their actions. And when you see the news, you hear of young teens attacking elderly people.
Oh man, that's the worst.
It's just, we're in a day and age where society is almost the reverse of full responsibility, and it's total anarchy. And we have to ask ourselves, what can we do to make a difference, not only in our lives and in society? Well, the answer to that question is, take full responsibility in your own life. And then that'll bleed out into society. Take full responsibility in your family life and your kids' life, and that will bleed out into society. And that doesn't mean you're going to be perfect 100% of the time, because I sure as heck am not. I'm not perfect 100% of the time. My parenting is not perfect. My home life is not perfect. But I think when we acknowledge where we fall short, and we take the opportunity to humble ourselves and admit to anyone that we have full responsibility of our mistakes and what we did wrong, and what we're doing to change, that helps, right? And that shows our kids, that shows our teams. If you're leading a team, and as a leader you make a mistake, and you humble yourself and admit to your team you made a mistake, that gives you so much credibility, and that earns trust from your team, and that helps you grow, and that helps build your team, and shows your team that it's okay to take full responsibility. And now you're empowering your team to take full responsibility. And when it comes to business, one of the things that separates an entrepreneur from an employee is entrepreneurs take action. When something's going wrong, they figure it out and they fix it. They don't stop. They don't look around like, okay, who's going to fix this?
They're solution oriented.
And you got to be solution focused as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, because there's hundreds of fires. I was listening to a podcast, an interview of Mark Zuckerberg on Theo Von's podcast. And, he was talking about his daily routine. And, part of his daily routine, when he wakes up, he looks at his phone and he looks at all the fires he has to put out. And then after he looks at all the fires, and he kind of gets ready for the day, has time, family time, goes to breakfast and whatnot, he goes and trains MMA. He fights for 2 hours. After he scraps for 2 hours, then he goes and puts out the fires, and he feels a lot better. He feels more in control. But the point that I'm making is, he's taking full responsibility of his business. He's not who he is because he's lucky or he's a super genius. He's taking full responsibility, even though he's one of the richest men in the world. He's picking up his phone in the morning. He's looking at all the fires he has to put out, and he's taking action and putting those fires out. What do most of us do? We look at the fires and we're like, oh, I'm guilty of this, dude. Dude, the other day I was talking about these calls I had to make, and these hard conversations, I had to have, and John's like, well, why don't you just make the calls?
Yeah.
And I stopped,
Why not
bro.
just do it?
And I'm like,
You
dude,
know?
I hate you. Okay, I'm gonna make the calls.
Yeah.
Because even like, it doesn't matter how, like, what level you get to in life. I still believe, and I'm not at there yet. I'm not saying I'm at a place, because I'm grinding, um, and I always will grind. But at any rate, you're always going to have times where you want to slack off. You want to get a little lazy. You don't want to have full responsibility in your life, whatever that may be, and in whatever area that may be, rather. And you just have to ask yourself, like, are you okay with that? Is that going to lead you to your goals? Are you satisfied with where you're at? And that's okay. But if you're someone that is, that's striving to get to that next level, I think it's important to, take full responsibility over every area in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And like you mentioned, like your health,
Yep.
right? Your mind, your body, your soul, right? Your business, your finance, your family, all these different categories that we hold near and dear to our hearts that impact every area of our life. We have to ask ourselves if we're happy with it, and if not, we have to take full responsibility and make the changes that are necessary in order for us to get to where we want to be. And it's going to be hard as hell sometimes,
Yeah.
damn near difficult. You're going to want to give up, and you throw in the towel and get reckless, and just go the other way. But you have to slow down, and you have to think about these micro decisions that impact the macro areas of our lives. And when we're able to take full responsibility and make the micro shifts that are needed in order to move the needle, getting us to the place where we want to live and be in our life, I think it's critical. And at the end of the day, we'll be satisfied that we took full responsibility and made those changes. And dude, it's tough, but you got to do it every day, bro.
So banger, bro. Like whenever you share, I'm telling you, like I'm like locked in and just listening because there's so much value to be said,
Thanks,
and
man.
I wanted to I like what you mentioned about how when you're working on the micro actions, it affects the macro, right? It's like when
Yeah.
you're like in order to make a change, right? Let's say in your health, your wealth, whatever the case may be, like you got to work on yourself. Take full
Yeah.
responsibility for yourself first, because think about it, right? I know we spoke about this in other podcasts, but your business and your life is a reflection of you, of your personal life, because you're the one creating it,
Yeah.
right? Again, like your thoughts become your actions, your action become your habits, habits become a character,
100%, bro.
character becomes your destiny, right? So when you're taking full responsibility for yourself, that creates a ripple effect into other areas of your life, right? Plus, like a lot of people, you know how you're mentioning earlier about how there are people who just like blame whenever they come
Yeah.
across like problems or issues in a business. They'll, instead of looking at like fault at themselves, they'll look at fault of the employees. They're like, man, these are the bad employees. This is all your fault. Why didn't you tell me this? Why didn't you do that? It's your responsibility, right? I'm going to fire you now because you
Yeah.
did such a bad job. But what that person doesn't realize is that employee is a reflection of you, the leader,
Yeah.
right? Because that person, the leader hired that
That
employee,
bingo. That's it.
right?
I was waiting for you to
Yeah,
say that. The
yes,
leader is the guy that hired him.
that's right. The leader
So
hired
it's
the
on them.
employee. The
Yeah.
leader is the one that like projects their core values onto that employee, right? If that
Yep.
employee is slacking off, if the business is going to shit, if he's
Because the
not,
owner's slacking off.
yeah, if that employee is not getting things done on time, what does that say about you, the leader?
Yeah.
Like, instead of blaming, look at where you're creating that in your own life. And until you fix that about yourself first and actually implement those changes, nothing is going to change unless you change.
Yeah.
Right? And until you change, when you change, that's going to ripple out into others around you and your environment. That's
Yeah,
why
100%,
going
man.
back to culture,
Yeah.
right? The reason why we have such a great culture is because we have a great leader,
Yeah, yeah.
right? We have a leader that is very family oriented, right? That gives, his employees a lot of personal, I guess, like leeway or autonomy, right? Like
Empowerment.
empowerment,
He
like
empowers his people
yeah,
to make the right decisions and to, basically do our jobs.
yeah, like pretty much like he sees us as like partners, as entrepreneurs, right? Because we are running our own business within the company, right? Because sales is you're running
That's
your own
it.
business.
Running numbers.
Yeah, and if your numbers aren't up, if
Not
you're
like running numbers back in the days, huh? Grandma running numbers with the bookie. Not those kind of running numbers. Just
that's
pulling
right.
papers, making deals.
That's how
That's
we
what we're
do it.
doing.
That's how we do it. And where was I going with that?
I don't know. I'm just throwing you off, bro. My bad. My apologies.
Gabe was the kind of guy that just raps out of nowhere during a podcast, but it's so funny. It's so fun because
I can't help it,
like,
man.
no, it's cool because the way we run the podcast is we're having fun, right? We're
That's
having
it.
fun, unscripted
Conversations.
You guys can see us for who we are, right?
Yeah.
It's just real. We're keeping it real.
Yeah, just ugly as hell.
Yes, ugly. That's right. You know what? We should change the podcast to the real podcast.
Maybe we will. We'll see.
Maybe, possibly.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah,
Teaser.
you never know.
Plot twist.
A little plot twist.
We'll see.
Yeah, but going back to taking full responsibility, like once I started implementing that mindset that everything is your fault, right? Every single thing that happens to you,
everything,
happens
man,
you, happens to others around you.
I wish I had someone to blame.
Is your fault.
I wish I had someone to blame, bro. Do I?
No.
Oh man.
You're not blaming anybody, but except yourself, right? Once you realize that, oh shit, like I'm where I'm at because of me. I'm in a bad financial decision because of me, right? I'm like fat as hell because of me. Like, okay, because I know that no one else did it to me. I did it to myself. If I did it to myself, that means I also have the power to change that as well.
100%.
And go in the other direction.
Right? Yeah, I love seeing those videos, those transformation videos of people that are like super overweight and they just trim down and get ripped, bro. Whew. Yeah. Those pump me up, bro. Like no lie, dude. I watch those and get teary-eyed, dude. Yeah. I get pumped. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna do some push-ups.
That's
right.
We're
gonna do some kick flips. One thing that came to mind when we were talking is
I want to do some kick flips.
Let's do some kick flips, bro. Let me do some kick flips, bro. Leg day every day, right here, bro.
Every day, bro.
Leg day, boy.
Leg day, boy.
Dude, you know what's cool about skateboarding too? It's like a full body workout too, because like you're using your arms to balance and stuff like that, and do melon grabs, like cha. Yeah,
it's cardio, full
cardio too. You know? It's fun, but when we're talking about full responsibility, one of the things that comes to mind, like, yeah, you have to have self-accountability. That's the first step, right?
Yep.
What also helps is having...
Let me add to that real quick. Self-awareness.
Self-awareness. Oh, God. It's
self-awareness.
So
being fully aware that you're the problem.
So many people are unaware.
As much as we hate to admit it, you're watching... If you have issues,
you're the problem.
Business, me,
you're the problem.
I'm the problem.
I'm the problem.
You're the problem.
You're the problem.
Right.
We are all the problem.
The only
also,
we
are also the solution.
That's right.
We're also the solution, bro.
You put the ball on that shit, bro.
We're also
that's right. You're a solution as well.
And that's the beautiful thing about life, right? And with self-awareness, self-accountability, it helps having accountability partners or people that you share your goals with and that hold you accountable. Like, John and I, we share our goals together. We hold each other accountable. We're doing the same thing with the team in the office. They're hitting their goals. And, a high tide raises all ships. And, we want to do what we can to raise that high tide. And that is the byproduct of taking full ownership, taking extreme ownership of your life. The byproduct is that it causes that tide to rise and everyone around you gets positively impacted, because it's one thing to walk the walk and talk the talk of someone that is a move maker, someone that is changing things. But if you don't have results behind it, it's all hot air. And so, when it comes again to taking full responsibility, if you're not hitting the targets that you attain financially, that's your fault, right? And you got to take responsibility of that and make those changes to pivot so that you get the results that will map to a paycheck that is going to be to your liking. And full responsibility.
Boom.
Full responsibility.
100%.
Not partial, full. Just start at full. Just start at 100%. Then you could take it to 110% or whatever, but just full.
That's right.
That's all.
If you want partial results, take partial responsibility.
Ooh. That's right.
If you want full results, take full
responsibility. Don't litter. Pick up your trash.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? If you use a dish, wash it. If you use a pan, clean it. I'm talking to my kids.
How you
myself
do anything,
too sometimes.
How you do anything is how you do everything. Right? Take responsibility for everything in your life. That's going to carry over to other areas too.
You know what I thought?
So
we should start having a quote of the day or a quote of the cast. Is that corny?
Should.
That's corny.
No, it's cool. We can do
cool. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't.
Let us know what you think. Quote of the day. Is it corny or not? If it's not, we can add it in. If it is, we might add it in still.
Yeah. We might.
We might do it
curious.
anyway.
We're just curious. Quote of the day.
Yes, sir.
We'll find out. That's a clip. Yeah.
All right. Cool, guys. Well, that concludes.
Is it? Does it conclude? Are we out of gas?
I guess so. I mean, we're never out of gas.
We're never out of gas.
We do have limited time. We got to get back on the phones. We got to log in.
We got stuff to do.
We got our goals to
hit. We're busy.
I
could talk here forever all day, probably.
Yeah.
About anything and everything.
But we're not Joe Rogan yet.
We're not, and we don't want to be.
5-hour podcast.
Yeah, I'd make a horrible Joe Rogan. Look at me.
Yeah.
You make an awful Joe Rogan, bro.
That's right.
You might be able to pull off Joe Coy.
Joe Coy. I don't know what that means, but nice try. All right, guys.
What are we even talking about?
I don't know what's going on. All right, guys. Well, that concludes episode 16 of the Hustle Podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, if you guys liked it, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think.
That's right.
And also, share with your friends if you gain value. That's the way we grow this podcast.
Remix it.
And it's going to get better and better every single day.
Clip it, repost it, take the audio, do whatever you want. You could do like Adobe on John. You could make John look like Squidward or something.
Yeah. Decline.
All right, y'all.
Cheers,
Boom.
G.